welcome to the Yarn Parlor. My name is Allison. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as alive@1. Today is Wednesday, August 3rd. This is episode 25. I'm a little bit late because I went out on Sunday to the beach and got extremely burnt and was dealing with some discomfort of a sunburn for the past couple days. So one day late, but here I am trying to cover up my burn as much as I possibly can. You can see it a little bit in my face, but not too much because I'm still pretty pale. Anyway, this is my podcast about knitting, spinning, and knitwear design. Thank you for joining me. To any new and returning viewers, I will have the show notes up. Let's see, this is Wednesday. I'll put this episode up on Thursday, and I'll probably continue with keeping my show notes up on Thursday. So at some point on Thursday, tomorrow, I will have the show notes put in the Ravelry group. There's a link below. So next week I'm taking off, so I will be podcasting again on August 16th is the episode 26. But for this episode, I'll be talking about my yarn challenges, my new August yarn challenges, a research topic for August, FOs, whips, a little bit of spinning, and I think that's it, isn't it? Oh, I wanted to announce the winner of the July hand-spun KAL, and then a new KAL for August. So stay tuned for that. Let's start with August yarns. So August sock yarn is this Anzula for better or worsted. I have a green and red. The green is juniper and the red is paprika. It's 80 superwash merino, 10 cashmere, 10 nylon. I bought this a very long time ago from Pearl Soho. I think I wanted to learn how to do color work with it. I don't remember why I bought this. I never really have an idea of what I'm going to do with the yarn that I purchase, but this is a weird purchase of mine because I never really purchased that many semi-solids. And I think I had 2 skeins of each, and now I just have the 2 of the green and the 1 of the paprika. I think I have a tiny bit of the second skein of this one. But, so I put this in for my sock challenge because I wanted to make a worsted weight sock, a heavier sock, kind of like a house sock slipper, if you will. Something comfy cozy. It's got the cashmere in it, so it's really soft. It's a 4-ply, so it's a really nice round squishy yarn. I'm thinking about making, I'm gonna mess this up. It's HYAK is the pattern. No longer pronouncing words that I know I'm gonna mess up. I'll just spell them and write them somewhere over here. No, I'll get over my fear of mispronunciation, but Hayak? Let's go with that. By Kim Swingle. Another worsted sock I had in my queue was the Rye sock from Tin Can Knits, but I think I'm gonna go with the Hayak. This was a striped sock from Camp Tolt collection, from the Tolt Yarn and Wool shop. It's like a hiking sock is what it was knit up as, but it's got stripes in it. It's got 2 or 3 colors, and it's out of a worsted, so it was really perfect for this combination. And I'm thinking that I will do a swatch gauge just because it's a bigger yarn and I don't want to get the stitches wrong because it can really mess up whether the sock is gigantic or not. So I'm thinking I might actually make a swatch gauge for this pair of socks. So that is my socks for August. Now the yarn challenge I have, let me go over 200 yards. I think that's the only thing I actually didn't say because I already went over content and everything. So it's 200 yards per skein. My yarn challenge for August is Shelter. I think most people have used this by now. I have never used Brooklyn Tweed's Shelter. So this is 100% American wool. It is a worsted weight, the Brooklyn Tweed's worsted weight. It's from Targhee and Columbia mixed sheep, and it's 140 yards per 50 gram skeins. And they give you a gauge range on the ball band for US 7, 8, and 9 needles. So that's kind of nice. This color is Sweatshirt that I am using. And it's a 2-ply woolen spun, so it's very lofty, but because it's woolen spun, a lot of people have complained that it breaks very easily. So it's something that I will kind of be checking out. I knit loosely. I have a loose tension, loose gauge. So I may not have that problem, but I plan on knitting a cable swatch because that is where most people, like a lot of people have knit a sweater and they're like, I could never imagine doing cables with this yarn because I had it break a lot. So cables might be a nightmare with this yarn. So I want to try a cable swatch, and I also want to do a textured swatch from the sequence knitting book and see how the tweediness looks in a textured stitch, along with my stockinette swatch. Other comments that people had when I looked in Ravelry were that there's a lot of veggie matter in the yarn, and that what else was it? Oh, that there are thin spots in the yarn as well. So, I mean, that goes along with the type of spinning. The woolen spun spinning, you can have thicker and thinner spots. It's a little bit harder to control the thickness of the yarn. And what Brooklyn Tweed has commented back about the veggie matter is that they don't use a heavy chemical process when cleaning it. So there is more veggie matter in their yarn. Brooklyn Tweed started in 2005 by Jared Flood, who just started a blog, and in 2010 he started the yarn company. In 2015 they moved their base from New York City to Portland, Oregon, and the process of the yarn is they use sheep in Wyoming. They shear the sheep, they send it to Texas. And all this information is on their website. They're a very transparent company. But they clean the fleeces in Texas, where the fleece is scoured, and then they send it to Pennsylvania to a dye company there. And then it is spun at Harrisville Designs in New Hampshire. So I believe all of their yarns are US produced. Which is something that they wanted to do in their mission statement. They also have, so Shelter is their worsted, they have Loft as their fingering, they have Quarry as their chunky, and I also have Quarry in my yarn challenge, so that one will be coming up in the next couple months. And Plains, which I believe is their newest yarn, and that is a lace weight. So that's what I'm going to be doing for August. Even with all of the complaints in this yarn, there were still over 10,000 projects on Ravelry using this yarn. So I think this yarn is a love it or hate it type of yarn. On the yarn page, there were like 6 pages of comments, and I think 5 of those pages were complaints. But then there's 10,000 projects, and I scanned through the first couple pages of the projects, and nobody really complained about the yarn in their projects page. So I think it's a love it or hate it type of yarn, and that's why I wanted to try it out, because a lot of people, I had heard a lot of complaints about it on other podcasts, so I wanted to add it to my yarn challenge for this year, because I had never used it before. On to my research topic for August. I touched on this a little bit last episode. I'm going to be doing slip stitches and tuck stitches because it's something that is kind of interesting me right now. And yeah, so the end of August, I will put a page up in the Ravelry group and put some links in there to explain slip stitches and tuck stitches, maybe to, if I find like a stitch dictionary on those 2 types. I'll look it up. And I'll put some info in the pages on in the Ravelry group. For July's Handspun KAL, I did pick a winner, and the winner is Michelle123. So congratulations, Michelle. And I'll send you a message on Ravelry, but hopefully I'd like to go to Knit Night next week, so maybe I can hand deliver this stuff to you then. But I did work on the blinging out the popcorn bag, if it comes up. Is it sparkly? Does it show sparkles yet? Anyway, there's Swarovski rhinestones on the popcorn, only on one side. I didn't have enough to do both, but this was kind of a little fun project for me the past couple days. So I need to make up this bag, and the prize will be this bag, a skein of yarn, and a 2-ounce sample of some of my hand spun. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. I had a lot of people put in hand spun projects, and I thought that was really awesome. I enjoyed that a lot. I hope you guys did too, and I will probably be doing more. I know I'm going to be doing another spin along soon, but maybe I should do another hand spun knit along, or at least continue that maybe next year or something, because that was enjoyable. FOs for this episode was just my yarn challenge from July, which I hadn't finished the last time. I have a little bit left somewhere in here. Somewhere. Come on. There. I used Shibui, the Ma'ai. Yep, that's what it's called. It is their chainette yarn. 70 super baby alpaca, 30 fine merino wool, 175 yards per 50 gram skein. This is the colorway Fjord, which is number 2012. And so my swatches, I have the stockinette, which I do for every yarn, and I used US 6, which is a 4mm. I had mentioned when I first showed off this yarn that I don't really like chainette yarn, and it's because on a stockinette stitch like this, I think it makes it look really messy, because I like to see the stitch definition, the V of a knit stitch, and since this yarn is already made up of like little V's, when you then knit stockinette with it, I think it gives it a weird texture. It's not crisp, clean. You can't really, you can see the knitting. I don't know, it's a little bit hard to describe. It just looks messy to me with the chainette yarn construction. So I don't like using this that often, but if you're looking for a light texture but without doing a stitch pattern, I would recommend trying to use a chainette because it does add a weird, not a weird look, it's just a different look. It's a different look to it. It's not, yeah, I don't really like it. Anyway, the second swatch I did was a double seed stitch. I used a tighter needle because I wanted to see the kind of stretch that it would give me. So here is my double seed stitch swatch, which is vertically 2 knit stitches and so a seed stitch is 1 row of a seed stitch is knit, purl, and then above that would be the exact opposite on the face of the fabric. The double seed stitch is vertically 2 stitches of knit and then 2 stitches of purl and 2 stitches of knit, and then it's basically a 4-row repeat, and then it would be the opposite as you go on. So yeah, that's my best description for it. I like this stitch, and it reminded me of a thermal type of fabric, so that got me really excited for my next swatch. And it could be the needle size that I chose because I did use a tighter gauge. It was a US 4, which is 3.5 millimeter. But the thermal effect is very tight. It's very small and condensed, and I kind of wanted to open it up and have a bigger texture. So I found the Whelk Stitch, which is my next swatch. And this is, I did this on US 6, 4 millimeter to get a larger, in case the needle size is what made this so tight and tiny. I decided to go back to the US 6 to get a larger thermally kind of look. This is stitch number 78 on newstitchaday.com. I'll put that in the show notes. It is a slip stitch pattern, and it kind of looks like the waffle stitch, but with deeper kind of nooks and crannies in there. And I like this one. I can totally see this in a Henley style sweater. It kind of has, it's not the exact thermal look that I was going for, but it still has a nice texture to it. This yarn definitely has a bit of a halo from the soft, fluffy, super baby alpaca, but you can still see the texture in the stitches. The chainette yarn has really good stretch in general because of its construction, but because there's such a high alpaca content, the memory, it doesn't bounce back as well. So if you stretch it this way, it's going to keep that position. If you stretch it this way, it's going to keep that position, and it can get kind of wonky. So it would be something that I would keep in mind because I'm envisioning more of like a tighter negative ease type of sweater, Henley sweater with this thermal stitch, but I'd have to keep that in mind because if it's just going to grow and grow and grow and not bounce back, maybe not so much negative ease. Maybe like a standard fit instead of negative or positive ease, because there is no memory to this yarn. But it has great stretch. So, yeah, so that is July's challenge, yarn challenge yarn. Moving on to whips that I've been working on, right? Works in progress. Yeah. The first one is my dotted rays. I was working on a bit here. This is by Stephen West. I'm using my hand spun from Classy Squid Fiber Co. Apple Picking was the colorway. And I've made it through the sky, and then through what I was calling my Granny Smith, And then onto the light red, which I don't remember what I named all of them. I came up with apple names, whatever. Now, I only did a couple rows of this because of the red, because I wanted to keep each wedge kind of one color and then do the yellow, and one color and do the yellow. Only I realized that I'd be wasting a bunch of yarn if I did that. So I decided to go ahead and add in the red. But then once I did these couple of rows, I was like, I don't know, maybe I should have striped it first, kind of ease into that red, like not just a harsh change, green to red. I don't know, maybe it's not really a harsh change, but you guys let me know what you think, because I think I should stripe a couple rows with the green and the red, or during transitions from one color to the next. But then when I asked my husband, he was like, no, I don't mind it, keep it this way. And I was like, are you sure? Because I really think that striping it would maybe look a little bit better. But, so you guys let me know what you think, if you agree with me. Because I don't mind ripping out a couple of rows to throw in some stripes between the color changes. But besides that, I love this pattern. I love how this is coming out. I decided to keep the yellow I-cord all the way around, so it's almost like an intarsia type of deal going on. And if you look at the wrong side, there are definitely a couple times where I forgot to wrap the yarn, so it leaves like a little bit of a hole right here, and there are definitely a bunch of them that I missed. Yeah, there's like 2 right there and there. But for the most part, I remembered to wrap it correctly, and it's not so much of an annoying thing to do for the look that I want. So I'm okay with continuously wrapping my I-cord on the edge to get this yellow band all the way around the shawl. And then I have the dark red and dark green after I finish with the light red. So I think I like the pattern. I like the way that this is coming out. I highly enjoyed this one. I'm using size 6 4mm needles, and I think that is it for this one. Oh, I did have a progress keeper on here from the last time. That's where I was the last time. So I made some good headway, but I thought with each one of these colors that I'd at least get 2 wedges out of it. I don't know if that's actually going to happen. Which is another reason why I wanted to just continue with the yarn instead of having each wedge a solid color, because I want to make as large of a size as I possibly can with that dotted rays. The next project I'm working on is a sweater that I cast on. It's out of a bulky yarn. Okay, so I was trying to go through my yarn stash, and the funny thing is that you can't see is that I have yarn like all around me right now on the table, because I pulled out all of my yarn, and that's why it's a little wonky up here, because I had to shove it back into the closet. I couldn't, or whatever, my yarn cabinet, I couldn't go through it. I failed miserably at trying to go through my yarn and purge and clean it up and organize it in a great way. I had a big fail attempt on this. But what I did come up with is that I would try and knit with my bulkier yarns to get them to make the space for all my other yarns, because bulky yarns, they knit up quick and they take up a lot of space. So if I knit them or use them, it would clear out a lot of space for me to actually organize my yarn. This was the thought process that I had. So I decided to cast on this yarn, which is a bulky. It is Eco Butterfly. It's a cotton. It's an organic cotton from Peru, and it is called Pacucho Flame Chunky in the mocha colorway. 50 gram skeins, 36 yards. So it's like a really thick cotton roving, and then it's wrapped with a thinner spun. Lace weight, if you will. So it's tries to keep the bulkier one, I mean the chunkier, loosely spun together. And I had a lot of this, and I'm not really sure why I bought it. I think I was thinking I would make a baby blanket. That never happened, so I cast on this sweater. It's just going to be a basic oversized garter sweater, and it's on a short needle, so you won't really be able to see, but it's just boxy. That's what I'm going for. So I cast on a front and a back separately. There's a side seam here, or a split hem, I should say, on the side. And I cast on no real pattern. I kind of combined a couple, and I'm just going with the flow and seeing what happens. But I cast on using size 11 needles, 57 stitches. I knit about 6 rows of 1x1 rib. Then at the first large needle, which is the US 15, the first row here, I decreased 3 stitches from the rib. Then I knit another 6 rows of garter. And then I knit the back panel for the side slit. Then at the side I overlapped 2 front stitches with 2 back stitches, decreasing another 4 stitches in circumference. Yeah, 4 stitches in circumference, and then joined and started knitting in the round garter. And I'll just do that for the whole body and sleeves. Hopefully making maybe a tighter sleeve. I don't know, I haven't worked out everything yet. Kind of just making it up as I go. But it's going to be a nice, loose, boxy, kind of fall-ish sweater, because it doesn't really get super cold here, but then the cotton will be lovely. And hopefully it'll knit up really fast. And this color, I'm not so sure about, but it is cotton, so I can always over dye it. I'm thinking maybe like a natural tea dye if I do want to dye it and change the color. This yarn definitely sheds the loose cotton roving. It'll get hairy, and I'm sure it will pill and won't be like the best. Flying all over the place. It's shedded a bit, so I'm hoping that after a soak and it's first blocking and washing, that some of those loose fibers will just shed away and it won't shed all over me throughout wearing, but I have my doubts. It definitely shedded in my lap while I was knitting with it. Not a lot, but it is what it is. It's a loosely spun yarn, so it's going to shed, especially cotton. It's 100% cotton. And that's it with my whips for this week. Moving on to, I wanted to mention my August KAL. So I had asked about if you wanted to do a sock KAL for August, because I plan on bringing back all of my sock whips and working on them this month. and I got some responses. So I am going to do a KAL, but it's going to be like an accessories KAL, small accessories. So that includes hats, gloves or mittens, and socks. So small accessories. I'd like it if there were no whips, please. Start and finish in August, and that's about it. I wanted to include as many people as I could with this KAL, so that's why I changed it from sock to small accessories. And then I'll start a thread in the group about this, and if there are any guidelines. But I think the only guideline really is no whips. And then on to spinning. So this week I finished spinning the Yak Down 50 silk from Classy Squid Fiber Co. I had 1 ounce. And speaking of Classy Squid Fiber Co., I wanted to well, I guess it's not really a congratulation, but I wanted to mention how I saw in the Classy Squid Fiber Co. newsletter Karen's yarn that she had posted in our hand-spun KAL thread, the gray, blue, the crazy like 600 plus yards chain plied fingering weight or lace weight. I can't believe she did that. I would not be able to, I don't think ever, even if I had been spinning for years, I don't think I'd be able to do over 600 yards of chain ply. So yeah, congratulations, Karen. Sure, why not? In making it into Classy Squid's newsletter. That was really kind of a surprise and a fun thing to see. So yes, so the Yak and Silk that I made into a 2-ply. I spun it. This has been soaked and washed. So I spun it long draw, horizontal long draw from the fold, which was what I wanted to do for one of my challenge days of Tour de Fleece. So the first half of the 1 ounce I did from the fold, folded over my finger and drafting it from the tip of my finger. And then the second half I folded the fiber, but then held the fold just in my hands, not over my finger. I like that way better. It was easier for me to draft from evenly. I had explained the last time that when I was drafting from my finger, it would start to kind of draft, like my drafting spot would move down further until it was at like the end of the fiber and just pulling it from the end. But when I held it in folded, it continued to draft from the folds better. So I preferred that way. But this yarn is amazing. It's not consistent, and I'm okay with that. I don't think I'll ever truly have a consistent yarn. I don't know, with lots of practice, we'll see, maybe I will. But it's so soft and so fluid, and just, the silk is gorgeous. It has a beautiful shine. I really like the way that this turned out. And I wanted to go over the Yak Fiber, since it was a new to me fiber. And so Yak Fiber, Yaks tend to have 3 types of fiber. They have their coarse guard hair outer layer, they have a mid-range, and then they have their Yak Down. So the coarse one is 79 to 90 microns. Their mid-range is 20 to 50 microns, and then their Yak Down is, I've seen, everybody always has their different numbers, but it's around like 14 to 20 microns, so it's very fine, very soft. The staple length is around 1 inch long, so it's a very short fiber. It's their down. which is what keeps them warm in the wintertime, and then they shed their yak down every year around spring and summer. So a yak can shed around 1 to 2 pounds a year, so it's not a lot, which makes it, along with being such a soft fiber, it makes it a luxury fiber because it's very scarce. Very small amounts can be produced annually. And okay, so this I found kind of interesting, was that it's warmer than merino wool, and it has so merino wool has lanolin, which is hydrophobic, but it's in a grease form, which is what helps keep you warm. But yak fiber is rich in myristic acid, which is a type of hydrophobic fatty acid. So that's the equivalent, I guess, to lanolin in merino, is this myristic. I'll spell it somewhere up here for you. And yeah, so yak fiber has been proven to be to keep you warmer than merino wool. And it's very soft it's comparable to cashmere because of its small micron count. It is naturally hypoallergenic and has natural breathability. So meaning that it will keep you cold in warm temperatures and warm in cold temperatures. Another thing that the yak down has is antimicrobial properties, which stops odor. So a lot of activewear companies are now, at least outdoorsy activewear, maybe not so much going to the gym type of clothes, but if you hike or do outdoors sports, yak fiber has been a new go-to for fiber content because of all these natural properties. They don't have to do anything to the fiber, just spin it in with the rest of their stuff. Yaks are dual purpose because they can, besides their fiber that can be used for clothing, they also are good for their meat and for milk, which you can produce yak butter and yogurt. So those are its dual purposes. And that's all I found about yaks. I don't know, that was kind of fun. A nice luxury fiber. It's amazingly soft. It was a bit more difficult to spin because of its short staple length, and the silk helps with that, and that's why it was blended together with the silk, because silk is a longer staple length, blended with the shorter staple length, it helps make spinning easier, but it's still kind of hard, both of them. The silk is slippery and the yak just has a short staple, so it was a little bit more difficult than what I'm used to, but it produced a beautiful yarn. I hope you join me next time. Not next week. August 16th is when I will be filming next. I'm bringing back a lot of old projects, old spinning projects, old knitting. The socks, I plan to try and knit up some of my old sock whips. Hopefully I'll work on the garter goodness in August as well, get that finished. One more section to go. And then I'm bringing back a bunch of old spinning projects from the Spin Along and Tour de Fleece. I kind of spun up half projects, so I need to spin up the rest of those fibers to I want to start fresher. I've been building up some half-done things, so try and get that done in August is what I plan to do. Check out the Ravelry group for the August accessory KAL. I'll see you next episode. Thanks for joining me today. Bye.